Hello and welcome to day four of FM Tech Week. I'm Ted Ritter, co-chair of the IT community of IFMA. Appreciate everybody joining us from around the world today, and very much appreciate Schneider Electric being our title sponsor this year. I'm looking forward to this session. 90 Days or Bust. What a great title. And I think lessons learned from a decade of IWMS implementations says it all. Let's jump into the confirmation now. Geoff, Sukrit, take it away.
Ted, and thanks for having us. Gonna share my screen here. All right. And everybody see my screen okay. So again, thanks for joining us. We're here again to discuss 90 days or bust to make sure that you can get value out of your work tech solutions in the first 90 days of purchase. So before we dive in, we've got a poll that we threw up on screen to help us get a better idea of our audience today. And while we're completing this poll, I'm going to go through my background and then we'll review the results and then we will jump right in. So, my background, I have been in the work tech space since around 2014. I've worked at Brightly, back when it was Dude Solutions, FM Systems, now Johnson Controls, and Aptura prior to joining zLink as the director of sales. So I've had the opportunity to gain a unique perspective, seeing the entire customer journey. I've witnessed it from why customers are leaving their current vendors, what the driving factors for selecting new vendors, all the frustrations, everything from beginning to end, then back around to the beginning. So we're going to focus on a few core areas that will hopefully help prevent some of those frustrations. So it looks like our poll is complete. And yeah, so it looks like we've got a good diverse group here, and I think that everyone will be able to get some value out of today's session. So one of the big things that I hear often, most implementations take longer than they should. And if you've gone through one or gone through several implementations, I'm sure that this statement resonates. And so we're going to look at some of the reasons why people feel this way and maybe some things that you can do to help address that. So number one, missing RFP questions. So RFPs can be very helpful. The one thing that they tend to focus on is the features and functionality of requirements in a facilities management system. But one of the things that I would encourage folks to do is to make sure you're including questions that help flesh out the right partner. A big one that I see folks forget to ask is how many platforms are needed to meet the feature requirements. And we'll dig into that a little bit later. Another thing, the folks don't really tend to focus on understanding the post-implementation support and training. One thing that I've seen throughout my career in the facility space is that there can tend to be a little bit of a high turnover rate. So the same group that's getting training during implementation may not be the same group that's using the solution 2 to 3 years down the road. So make sure you know what that additional training looks like. Another big one is the support features. Test the support before you purchase. Make sure that you know what the support channels look like. At a previous company, I was working with a global head of real estate who was leaving their current vendor for two key reasons. One, they didn't realize that the requirements were spread across multiple platforms when they purchased. And then they called the 1-800 number to get support, and no one answered. It just rang and rang, and I honestly didn't believe it. I tested it myself, and it was in fact the truth. So make sure you're testing those areas. The second key component is a broken handoff. Oftentimes, when you're evaluating facility solutions, the pre-sales and post-sales teams are completely different. And so post-sales would be your implementation, your training, your customer success folks. So make sure you're meeting with those post-sale teams before you purchase. Make sure they understand the scope of what you've seen in a demo environment, and that demo environment can translate into a production environment. If a partner is performing your implementation, make sure that partner is on the demo calls prior to vendor selection. Make sure they have a great understanding of what the desired outcomes are so that they know how to implement. I've seen at previous companies, again, where you go through a buying cycle, and then you sign contracts, and then all of a sudden a partner's brought in, and that can be very frustrating. It's a disconnected handoff, and almost always leads to a rocky start to implementation, which starts to push timelines out. The third component is underestimated resources, and Sukrit will provide more context when we get into the software a little later, but data migration, training, and internal time gets scoped as an afterthought, and then that dominates the timeline. So essentially, make sure you have a clear understanding of the resources needed from your team and the resources needed, or the resources that the vendor is providing. There shouldn't be any gaps in expectations for what's needed for implementation. I've had a lot of customers mention that with previous implementations, it wasn't made clear what was needed and what was expected of them. Lastly, number 4, siloed platforms. This is a big one. Ask how many platforms are needed to support your requirement. Companies are really good at hiding the number of platforms that they're showing in a demo. So pay attention to when the URLs change. That's a good indication that the platforms are changing. You can ask companies who they've acquired over the past 5 to 10 years. That'll give you a good idea of how many platforms are under their umbrella. Ultimately, multiple platforms will end with extended implementation timelines. The longest implementations that I've heard of are when customers weren't aware that they were purchasing multiple platforms to meet their requirements. And so you're spreading that implementation. It's supposed to be 90 days, with one platform. Now it's 3. And most facilities teams do not have the bandwidth to do 3 implementations at once. So it almost always gets phased out. This is so important that we made a whole nother slide about it. Remember to ask how many platforms. If you don't ask, you will not be told. It's just one of those things that, again, companies are really good at hiding the number of platforms. There's been a lot of consolidation within this industry over the past 5 to 7 years, and they're really good at a lot of these companies are really good at hiding it. It's not something that's beneficial for implementation and the customer journey and end user experience. So please, if there's anything you take away from this conversation today, make sure you understand the number of platforms. So quick recap, what to look for when you're evaluating vendors to make sure that you're picking the right partner. If you follow these 3 steps, I think you'll be on the right track. So first one, again, one platform, not a portfolio of acquisitions. Again, really difficult to implement 2 to 3, 4 platforms at one time. And again, most facilities teams don't have the bandwidth to do all that at once, which is going to force a phased implementation. Meet with the implementation team. Develop a relationship with them. Make sure your communication and working styles mesh well. You're going to spend a lot of time together over the next 3 months, so make sure that it's the right group. Have a real implementation plan in writing. Schedule meetings before contract signatures to talk through it, ask questions, get clarification. There shouldn't be any unknowns that pop up with regard to your implementation plan. That should be secure, crystal clear before you sign contracts. So, a quick kind of overview of what a 90-day timeline should look like for you to be able to get value within those first 90 days of implementation. So, day one, you've got kickoff and alignment. Day 30, you've got your data migrated and is configured. By day 60, your teams are getting trained, they're piloting, they're testing things, maybe they're breaking things, getting things fixed. But by day 90, everyone's live, self-sufficient, and you're running on your own. You've spread your wings and you're no longer under the guidance of the implementation team. So now, how does zLink address these issues? For starters, we're one platform. zLink is a single platform that provides a single source of truth, no siloed, disconnected systems leading to fractured reporting or mixed user experience. zLink's had 25 years of independent operation. We can build out new functionality in record time, make changes, keep up with the ever-changing industry that we've seen over the past 5 years. We don't have a huge board of directors that we have to get approval to change roadmap. We can operate extremely quickly. We have over 1 billion square feet on the platform, over 30 modules for all work tech needs, and again, all on one platform. So we're going to take a look at what we discussed today, and for that, I'm going to introduce Sukrit, who is our project manager here at zLink with over 15 years leading IWMS implementations across corporate and government facilities. He started as a software engineer before moving to implementation manager, then to project manager. He has a deep expertise in requirements, infrastructure, and database design, and he's led some of our most complex rollouts, from the New York School Construction Authority to Fire Life Safety for Siemens USA. And he does our demos and our implementation. So with that, Sukrit, I'll kick it over to you.
All right, great. Let me see here. All right, thank you, Ted, for that great intro. Let me see if I can follow up on some of those great points that you made about the platform. In fact, that's a good place to start. The zLink platform is just one platform with different hubs that work together to provide the end user with an integrated view of their facility. So what you see here is just one URL, one app that works across devices. It's platform agnostic, browser agnostic, and nothing needs to be installed on your machine. I'll just give a quick overview before walking you through some of those implementation issues that Geoff pointed out and how we address them. A user is presented with a view that allows them to focus on what's most important to them. And we built it from ground up to make it so that you get to information that you want in as few clicks as possible. So I clicked on the summary, the building pushpin to bring up a summary of this building. Almost everything here that you see is configurable. It is driven by your need and your role within the organization. So from here, for example, I can click on this tile and open up all the drawings that are part of this building. Now, these drawings could be utility drawings like life safety, plumbing, mechanical. Doesn't matter what kind of drawing you load, but with one click, instantly, you can open up that floor plan in the system. You can use tools to then further mark it up, whether it is to identify a space configuration change or to report a problem, as we'll see as we go forward. The same applies with one click to view all the assets that are in this building. These assets could be assets of different types. The same concept applies for open projects, employees, who's sitting where. You can open up a quick little view of all the people sitting here, and then jump on to the drawing to locate where the person is actually sitting, which office is their office. The key point here being that all this data is integrated and brought into this one view for the user to access information. Now, the same applies with work orders. So if I click on all the open work orders as a maintenance supervisor, I can then go in and open up a particular request, look up where the problem has been reported, and then act on it, assign it to a technician to complete the work. So this integration, this one view, one platform, allows us to implement the solution in as few iterations as needed. A typical implementation starts off with a kickoff meeting where we identify the key stakeholders, we identify where the data is, we identify the functional areas that are more important to the organization than others. All implementations are partnerships, and a great implementation is where we have a project manager or a core team on the other side that is willing to work with us to identify data, to identify requirements and people and so on. So these onboarding workshops that we have allow us to identify key configurations that are required to set up. So here's a good example. Workflows that drive processes in an organization are highly configurable in the zLink platform. So if you're a county, how you manage your work orders or how you handle your election cycles, maybe different processes from county to county or cities. If you're a convention center, how do you get ready for an event? Your process may be very different from another convention center. And the same applies for an hospital, which is trying to get their janitorial staff to go and inspect restrooms for cleanliness. All of these business processes are driven by the workflow engine behind zLink, and it's very configurable. So you can start off with a process, but then you can, with just a few clicks, change it to modify subsequent requests to follow a different process. So here's a little tweak that I made into the process, asking the maintenance supervisor to be able to request additional information from the work order desk. Now, this concept applies across the board. So whether you're trying to create a process of requesting space, or for maintenance work or approving a capital project, these workflows are pervasive, they're everywhere, they help drive users to just see what's important to them. Now, after these workshops are complete, we will develop a project plan. This project plan will identify what is the deliverable that we will provide along with an implementation schedule, and we'll list out the receivables that we expect to receive in order to complete the project on schedule. So for example, the list of receivables may be driven by what's available at what time. So if you have your list of equipment that you're migrating from an existing solution, we could take that first while we're waiting for you to sort of fine-tune your business processes. And this UAT site we'll set up at the onset will be populated with information as you make it available. So here's an example of what the system will start to look like at the end of 30 days. We would have migrated your equipment information. This includes the equipment work history. So if you're migrating from an existing solution, the application will automatically create a historic data set of your past maintenance history in the application. We'll bring in your equipment score, the cost projections, and of course, all the configured flexible information that you might store, things like make, model, serial number, and so on. We'll also tie this to the drawing and to floor plans and so on. The same goes with employee data. We could take an initial data dump using spreadsheets or an FTP site while we're still working on the APIs to be built out and be ready to test and so on. Again, things like bringing in move history of a person. These are all migrations that we've done in the past, where we brought in information to present the users with a seamless view once they start using the zLink platform. Bringing in inventory information for managing your equipment parts, or to present your users with the ability to order supplies for the office from a catalog, or to manage a warehouse as a standalone app. Those are all functions that are part of the application across the platform. The same concept applies to scheduling a room, whether it's a workspace or a team room, integrating with your Outlook or Google Calendar, publishing the plugins. All of this is something that we would do in this initial phase, which is quite involved, as in we have these regular meetings. We're trying to iron out issues. We develop templates and import data as we receive them. So what happens after this data is on? So by the at the end of the 30-day period, you'll be able to do reporting and metrics that would allow you to then start testing and training your staff with the new product. So, for example, you'll be able to run distribution maps on any data attribute in the application, whether it is by department, or you could break it down by function. You could break it down by fields that you create in the application that are not out of the box. So these functions will become available. You'll be able to create metrics by selecting spaces. So if you were trying to reconfigure a section of the floor, you could highlight those areas and develop metrics. That can be exported out and shared with the rest of your team. You could also bring up equipment, which you'll be able to see on top of the drawing overlaid for equipment that is sitting inside a floor plan. For equipment that's outside the buildings, we leverage, your GIS maps and so on. So all of the data from different silos of information would be integrated and presented in the application at the end of the 30-day period. You will be able to, for example, run work orders. So if you were trying to report a spill, you could leverage your drawing to get your janitorial staff to submit a cleaning request. And this request would have the floor plan along with the room where you made this big mess. So all of this is to say that the system allows you to very quickly manage and maintain your information in the system. Okay, so now one other thing that I want to point out is once this data is in the application, you've started training, you've started testing uh, your technicians and your staff. You'll also be able to run reports. You'll have your business intelligence module functional, which would be pulling in data from your APIs and populating and presenting you with information with different types of information on your dashboards. You'll be able to create reports, whether they are new custom reports, by pulling in information from different hubs and then creating a report that would filter data just like the way you want it. And if you create a masterpiece, you'll be able to publish it, share it with other users. So all of this is something that would happen at the end of the 60-day period. And of course, with the new AI tools, you'll be able to run, uh, for example, a space occupancy dashboard in the application, which will pull information from different pieces, different silos of data, and then create a very composite, consolidated view of how the facilities are using the application by creating a dashboard. So in this case, the dashboard could be a graphical view which can be transferred into Power BI or any other tool. So this is a big graphic intensive report. And then the last thing before I end the pass it over to Geoff is the ability to do all of this on your mobile devices, which is where most of our technicians and inspectors and so on are sitting. So everything that I showed you is something that you can access on an Android, an iPhone, an iPad, uh, uh, using the tools that you have. For example, a technician might pull information about the coffee spill that's reported earlier, and then may be able to open up the CAD drawing within the browser, which will show them within the app, which will show them the information about the issue. And the same applies with the dashboard view on the iPad. All right, so to quickly summarize, at the end of 30 days, we have all your data in. By 60 days, the APIs are fully functional. And all of this is possible if you have a good partnership, which is what we strive to do at zLink. And with that, let me just turn it over to Geoff to make some closing statements. All right, Geoff.
All right. Thank you, Sukrit. And I know we're running up on time, so really, to quickly close us out, this robust functionality across space, asset, reservations on one platform is really rare in this industry. So we hope that everyone that attended today or is watching this later because the World Cup is on is able to take something away from this session. And if you have any questions about zLink, feel free to reach out. My contact information should be up on screen, or if you just want to get some more tips and tricks on buying IWMS solutions, we're always happy to help there as well. So with that, Ted, I'll kick it back over to you.
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate your insights today. I had some good comments, but no specific questions. I would take advantage of Geoff's offer and reach out to him directly. Thanks again to everybody for joining us for this session for FM Tech Week. We've got another one coming up at 11 o'clock Pacific featuring Land Tech. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.